Welcome to our panel. My name is Hannah Williamson. I am a senior corporate recruiter here with Beacon Hill Staffing. Let's have the panelists introduce themselves. Let's start with Lindsay.
Thanks, Hannah. So my name is Lindsay Thomas. I am the Director of National and Strategic Accounts based here in Boston, Massachusetts, although I am in Cape Cod working from home today. So I've been with Beacon Hill. I just celebrated my 9-year anniversary, which is crazy. So I'm a 2010 Quinnipiac grad.
My name is Jessica McIntosh. I am a 2004 Quinnipiac grad, and I joined Beacon Hill in 2013. So just had my 7-year anniversary. It's gone by very quickly.
My name is Connor McLeod. I'm a senior staffing consultant here at Beacon Hill Technologies in Boston. I graduated Quinnipiac in 2017 with a major in entrepreneurship and small business operations.
What was your favorite Quinnipiac tradition or memory from campus during your undergraduate experience?
Sure. So I was a member of the women's lacrosse team while at Quinnipiac, and a lot of my favorite memories kind of circle back to all the time that we spent together off the field, and a lot of that involved eating. So I'm probably stealing the thunder of Jess and Connor. And I was trying to decide between my favorite places. So we were big Wentworth fans, like the ice cream place right off campus. It was the best, and it's probably one of the places I miss the most.
Yeah, so many memories. So it was actually very hard to choose just a small number. But I guess one of my favorite things and traditions that would happen every year would be May weekend. And, just being able to wrap up the end of the year, have a weekend with your friends, just to have some fun across campus. So that was definitely a fond memory that I had.
The ones that were, senior year, Friday nights at Auntie's, and then, getting together with your friends the next morning, going to Ray and Mike's, which was my personal favorite.
All right. Well, to get into, the reason why we're here, talking more about Beacon Hill, talking more about staffing. I think what's interesting in a lot of conversations that I have with recent grads is, what even led you into staffing? Because I don't think it's anything that really people go to school directly to major in staffing. So Lindsay, why don't you start us off? Tell us about what led you into the industry and how did it kind of relate to your undergraduate experience at Quinnipiac?
So the short version, so I graduated with a degree in public relations. I moved out to Los Angeles to pursue PR from an entertainment perspective. So I worked for Eva Longoria for a year, which was crazy, and really missed my family on the East Coast and decided to move to Boston. So Beacon Hill Staffing Group actually brought me in as a candidate to place. Actually, Jess's group, the Associates Division, brought me in, and they tried to place me as a candidate at one of our clients. And I was interviewing, and I just was meeting with one person after another, and it was like each person was just getting better than the last, and it felt like a place I wanted to be, and I just really didn't understand what they did. But just being a candidate to place, I feel like was like the perfect way to just kind of see what was going on behind the curtain. And I made the leap, 9 years ago to join the company then. So that's kind of how I very much stumbled into it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I similarly graduated, was a little unsure as to what the future held for me in regards to marketing. It was just such a broad field. And so I was just sort of, in my mind, just exploring lots of different avenues. So at the time, I actually took a job up in Boston. I'm originally from Western Massachusetts, so I took a job a little farther away from home up on the North Shore of Boston. I actually was an administrative assistant supporting a sales team at a publishing company up there. Really had a great experience, supported two senior sales executives. So that was just a really fun, fast-paced role. And I got to see the inner workings of what a sales department and how it runs. And they had over 100 sales reps, both inside and outside sales reps. So I definitely learned a lot about sales from that experience, and kind of opened my eyes to what sales was, and in my mind, probably graduating at that sales was just very door to door, very aggressive, and this was the opposite of that. And so that kind of was okay, these are people I could do this. I could saw them in action. So I was there for a year, and then some friends from Quinnipiac were moving to New York City, and I just decided to take the leap and move to New York and kind of try my hand on starting a career here. Similar, was trying to sort of figure out where to land. I was looking at some administrative roles because that's kind of what my job was up in Boston, and then I got connected just through networking, personal networking, to a individual who was working for a daily newspaper here in New York. They didn't have any marketing roles at the time; they had sales roles, and I loved everyone I met with, and I felt like if now's the right time to kind of make that leap into sales. And so I started doing, I landed as an account executive and started doing cold calling and for local advertisers. So I was calling restaurants, retail stores here in New York, just trying to get them to advertise in this daily newspaper. I actually even was going door to door to local businesses too. So, I learned the city and obviously hustled to get as much business as I could, which was a lot of fun. And I loved the hustle, and I loved the hunt, and I loved the win when you were able to land an advertiser. So I did that for about a year and a half. Loved the client management side, the account management side, loved winning business, but didn't necessarily feel like advertising sales was where I felt passionate. So I, similarly to Lindsay, also fell into staffing. I was starting to explore what else is out there for me, went to another agency. At the time, that was a small boutique New York agency, and was looking for a new job. And I had a lot of different ideas as to what that might look like. And through those conversations, met a lot of great people. And then, an hour or two later after that interview, they called me back and said, we have some internal opportunities as a recruiter. And I was like, don't really know what that means. And so after a lot more conversations, I loved that. It was sales, it was account management, but also at the end of the day, it was helping people. And that really resonated with me. And so I took a leap of faith again, and tried something new, and I've been doing it ever since, and it's been such a rewarding experience.
So when I first got to college at Quinnipiac University in the summers, I would spend them recruiting for their agency. So I did that for a couple years, and I thought I would end up working for them when I graduated. But as I got a little bit older, and I did enjoy it there, I realized that, I wanted to explore my options. I still really liked staffing. I liked, the dealing with the candidates. It is very fast paced, very rewarding. So I knew it's what I wanted to do, but I didn't think I necessarily wanted to do it there. So I actually reached out to a recruiter myself, who put me in touch with my current managers and directors right now, back around May of 2017, right when I graduated. So I interviewed here, and then I interviewed probably 5 or 6 other places, went through the gamut, interviewed at all these different places. And the people that I spoke with at Quinnipiac, at Beacon Hill Staffing Group, they really stuck out to me, just in terms of their process, the reputation around them. I spoke to people that were familiar with them in my family who had good things to say, even from a competitor standpoint.
Specifics about your given roles, because we've heard a little bit more about the recruiting side as well as the sales side. So Lindsay, why don't you kick us off and telling us a little bit more about your day-to-day, your specific position at Beacon Hill, and maybe even a recent placement or success that you've seen.
So I oversee our largest account for Beacon Hill Staffing Group. I'm specifically within our technology division. Connor and I actually work really closely together, do deals together, which is super fun. So, and I'll go into this more a little later, but I've been on the sales side of our business for 8 years now, 8.5 years. So that's truly where my passion has been. I had the opportunity to join our national and strategic accounts division, which has basically been a startup within our Beacon Hill technology division. I joined that 3 years ago. So a day-to-day for me now, it's a lot of the same stuff I've been doing all along. So it's developing a call list of contacts that I try to find on LinkedIn or other resources that we have, other tools that we can get this sort of information. And then I have my list, and then I'm making calls, and I'm trying to introduce myself to people, and I'm trying to build a network and work that network so that I can create opportunities. So my job is a bit more complex than it used to be, but it's still the same in the sense that I'm still trying to introduce myself to people, hiring managers within technology that are looking to add staff to their team. So I'm looking to win the opportunity to have a chance to find those people for them. And then behind the scenes, I'll bring in those job orders, as we call them. So if I write a development job, a company needs to fill a development job, I'll bring that in. I'll figure out all the details. I'll qualify that with the manager, which I really enjoy. And then I'll work with Connor and our team of local recruiters who will actually go out and find that talent. So I love like the matchmaking and like being in the middle of that, of being like the broker internally at Beacon Hill, where Connor's candidate doesn't get to the client unless I feel like they're a fit. So I have that rapport with Connor, and we work really closely together to make sure it's worth putting in front of the client. And then of course I'm working directly with the hiring managers at this account, our client, to make sure that it's exactly what they're looking for. And I really enjoy that it's such a hands-on, highly influential role where we're working directly with people making really big decisions for like Fortune 50 companies. So it's been really exciting. I feel like it's been like sales on steroids.
So very similar to Lindsay, but with associates where it can differ, and associates is the name of our administrative and office support practice. And I can definitely speak in terms of pre-COVID because it has certainly changed a little bit since we've been working remotely. But in a given day, before we weren't working from home, I would be fielding requests first thing in the morning from clients saying, our receptionist is called out sick today. Like, can you find me somebody to come in and cover? So those emails come in as early as 6 a.m. sometimes. And thankfully I am an early riser. And I work with my team of recruiters, sending that out that order first thing in the morning. They're up and at them, looking to fill last minute jobs for our clients. So a lot of the roles that we were working on at the time, obviously that slowed down a little bit on that side, but we've picked up in other areas, are these last minute fill in the gap coverages where our clients have an urgent request. So within our team, the pace is a little bit more urgent because they need someone immediately. But what's fun is that our recruiting team has built up a pool of candidates who are readily available to go to work every single day.
Where Jessica and Lindsay go in and go get the job orders from the clients, from the hiring managers. My responsibilities are to actually go find the talent that are going to fill these opportunities. So it usually starts with, I work a lot, like Lindsay said, with her, starts with, finding out exactly what they're looking for. A lot of times in Beacon Hill Technologies, we're dealing with a lot of different technologies and very niche skill sets. So, there's research involved, going in, finding out exactly how the technologies coordinate with each other, what they're used for, what their purposes are, and then using that information to use the various tools available to us to, reach out to prospective candidates, use our active networks to see if there's anyone that can be referred to us. And then we present these candidates to the account executives, the salespeople, to present to the clients. And then it doesn't really end there. Once they present them to the client, it's also our responsibilities to coach these candidates through the hiring process. Some of them are career contractors where they understand it very well, but you still got to let them know how certain companies hiring, what they're looking for, what they can expect through the interview process, what they can expect, once they do get the job. Some of these candidates, I know I just recently placed a woman that hasn't been on the job market in about 19 years. So, her idea of the job market has completely changed. So a lot of it is walking her through some of the nuances that she's going to face, especially, where the last time she did, we were all doing everything in person. Now everyone's doing everything over a Zoom call.
I think it's important to address, as a major question I get from many entry-level hires, is how do I even get started? How am I going to get trained, and how will I actually be successful, as many of our panelists have seen today? So Jess, let's actually start with you. Can you tell us a little bit more, as a lead account executive and as a manager, how do you actually go about the training process?
So I think for us, in terms of our recent training of some new hires that we've had over the last couple of months, it's been, and it's sort of open, we kind of sort of similarly train on the staffing consultant side as well as the AE side, because we had some people start at the same time. So the first week was really a mix of, hopping on a Zoom or WebEx call, going through a specific topic, whether it was screening candidates, learning who Beacon Hill is as a company, the types of roles that we fill. And then on top of that, having some more of those like classroom style trainings, we would do a lot of shadowing. So almost like learning on the job and learning as you go. So you would sit in and shadow an interview, a phone screen, potentially a client visit. You would shadow a phone call, taking a job order. So we really want to allow our new hires to get exposure to lots of different areas right away. And that's really important for us, is that they can just like immerse themselves in, the ways that we're talking, how we're asking certain questions, what we're asking, and how we're conducting ourselves both in front of our clients as well as with our candidates.
And then going off of that, in terms of career growth, what does growth actually look like at Beacon Hill? So if Lindsay, you wouldn't mind starting off telling us, as for the job that you actually started with at Beacon Hill when you started, and kind of how that has really grown to being in this director position now.
Yes, thank you. So I would like to say that I was in the fast track program like long before it was a formal thing. So I only wanted sales, and our leadership in Boston like really felt strongly about starting me as a recruiter, especially where I wanted to join the technology division. I had public relations background. Was a little technical, but not as far as, the knowledge that like Connor and I need to know to be able to do our job successfully. So it was really, really important. And looking back, they were right that starting in recruiting was really like the best way to learn the technology piece for our division at Beacon Hill Technologies. So I recruited for about 4 or 5 months, and then I moved into sales. From there, I was cold calling and developing a brand new book of business, breaking into accounts, which was the part that I love the most. And Connor knows this even to this day. Like I still get so fired up, like tracking someone down and they finally answer, or I use like someone else that I know to try to get in front of someone else. Like I love that. Like Jess said, like the hustle even now is still something that still keeps us going. So if that resonates with anyone on here, like definitely follow up with Hannah. So I was building a brand new book of business. I did want to go into leadership. So I became our first ever in the company lead account executive. So I was kind of the guinea pig there. But it was such a great stepping stone in the technology division. And I think just because you're maybe a really good salesperson doesn't make you a really good leader. So I really appreciated that, Beacon Hill kind of created that just organically. And that's really been a lot of our growth here at Beacon Hill over the last almost decade that I've been here, something that always has remained true. So I then moved into a business development manager role. So I was the sales manager in Boston for tech. So I still sold, which was always something that was really important to me, that I felt really passionate about. So I had a book of business. I managed a group of 4 salespeople. And then about 3 years ago, we opened our national strategic accounts division. So, and again, Connor was here for that too, but I was at this crossroads of, do I pursue my local leadership path in Boston, or kind of start over from a book of business perspective that I had just built for 5 years. That was actually at a pretty high place, to kind of take on this new challenge, which basically was like joining like a fully funded startup. Like I knew that our leadership wouldn't let it fail, but it was ours to create from nothing. So, now, I took the director of national strategic accounts role. So my role today, so I still sell, still very much at least 50% of my time is still cold calling and making new connections and working a network and building a network and trying to get open positions to fill. And then I also oversee a team of about 25 that sell into the same account across the company. So I get to work with colleagues in Beacon Hill Technologies from our California office to New York to Dallas, Chicago, Denver, Colorado, like all over. So it's been really cool to work in a much bigger team. But then I also work with 40 recruiters here locally in Boston, like Connor. So I feel like I definitely get the best of both worlds, where I have certainly a leadership component. I'm still selling, but I also really enjoy that, this program that we've built from absolutely nothing, and what that means to Beacon Hill. So
when I joined Beacon Hill Staffing Group, although I had a little bit of a leg up in terms of understanding some of the nuances of recruiting, I still had to learn the environment. There was a big learning curve, was building out a network in a local market consistently. There was a big change for me from always reactive recruiting to, pipelining candidates, just calling people to call people just so you got your name out there. A lot of people in the beginning you're calling and you don't really know what they're looking for, but, as long as you have a good conversation with them, maybe a year or two down the line, they call you back when they are finally looking or something along those lines, they refer you. So the first year or so, it was definitely a huge learning curve. But Beacon Hill had a great structure of just, hey, look, keep learning the technologies, keep making a lot of calls, keep putting in the effort every single day, and you'll see the results. You just, you got to continue with it, stick with it.
Getting into just some fun stuff, more so about your favorite part of the job, why we continue to show up every day and do what we do. So, Jess, what would you say has been your favorite part of your job when it comes to your day-to-day?
Wow, there's so much. I would say the two things that keep me, obviously excited to work every day is that firstly, no day is ever the same. No 2 days will ever be the same. Every day is going to be a fresh start, a new beginning, and you can kind of make it what you want out of it. And that's always just really fun. Can kind of like, if someone didn't take a job offer the day before, you can let that, close that day behind you, start fresh the next day.
On the day-to-day, I really like, when you build out a new connection with a candidate, you get off the phone with them and you really understand what they're looking for. And I think they begin to trust you in terms of helping them in the best way that you can. And, when you build that relationship during the hiring process and you finally get that person the offer that they've been looking for and are able to present it to them. And, they're thrilled, you do a lot for them. That's always a huge highlight for me.
A big question that I always get is a little bit more about Beacon Hill culture and why we've been recognized as one of the best places to work. Why do people stay here? So for all of you, I'd love to hear just your favorite office tradition, your favorite Beacon Hill tradition. Lindsay, let's start with you.
Thank you. It is really hard to pick one. And I think that in itself speaks volumes about Beacon Hill. I will say President's Club is unbelievable. So as a sales organization, we have certain goals of individual production that someone is qualified to hit at a certain level. So when you have your first day at Beacon Hill, you can already start going for it. So like Hannah said, if it's really, sky is the limit. And what I've always really loved about this job is that I can't control everything, but I can control my effort, my output, and really what I put into it every day and every week. President's Club, and it is an all expense paid trip to the Breakers and West Palm Beach, Florida. And it is like the fanciest place. And we get so spoiled and we're treated so well. And you get to bring someone with you, and we're treated to spa appointments, and you can go golfing at these really nice places if you want. The food is unbelievable.
Another company-wide rewards program, which is called Top of the Hill. And I always say that this is my favorite day of the year. And so what Top of the Hill is a $1,000 Amex gift card shopping spree, and you can spend it on whatever you want. And so all the Top of the Hill qualifiers from your office, they pick you up in a limo or a stretch limo, depending on how many people make it from your office. In your city, you go to whatever store you want to go to. So in New York, we went to Soho. Some people went to Nordstrom's, and you kind of just go shopping for the afternoon. And again, sky's the limit on what you want to buy. You can use that money with whatever you want.
I would say the Christmas party. So every year, Beacon Hill Staffing Group, I think we have over 50 offices across the country or some sort of number like that. But every year around Christmas, they fly in everyone from every office, all expenses paid, all into where our headquarters is, which for us is Boston, so we're not flying anywhere. But even for the people that are living around the city that can't get in that easily, they keep everyone in both the Wyndham and the Omni, so two unbelievable hotels in downtown Boston. And then it's really like a 2-day event. For the people coming in from out of state, it's almost like a week-long affair because they come in a couple days early. But they for the first night, everyone goes, I think it was at the convention center this year. So it's about 1,000 people, it's everyone and their significant others. And it's a huge fancy awards ceremony, open bars, excellent food. And then they do, they kind of go through all the people that have, worked hard and won the various awards, whether it was Top of the Hill, President's Club, top producer, top office, which my office, Beacon Hill Technologies, largely due to the efforts of people like Lindsay, we've been able to win every year since I've been here. But essentially, everyone that wins one of the awards also gets a bottle of Dom Perignon. It's a huge blowout event. And then the next day, you know, we all pile into the 21st Amendment and Carry Nation, two of the bars where, you know, people can hang out all day until I think a lot of people either fly back that day or the next day.
If you could describe your Beacon Hill experience in one word, what would you say? Lindsay, we'll start with you.
It's truly like changed my life, like truly. So I'd say for me, transformative.
Unlimited. I think that there is just so much opportunity at Beacon Hill.
This is valuable.
So the question is, what would be your biggest piece of advice for someone who's interested in actually applying to Beacon Hill? So first and foremost, I actually oversee all of our entry-level hiring. So if you reach out to me, if you are interested in what you've learned today from any of our panelists, or, you know, even want to just dive in specifically to one given office location, one given division, I am more than happy to give any and all sorts of information. So my biggest piece of advice for anyone who's actually going through the interview process, once you've realized, yes, this is where I want to start my career, I'm excited, interested in the process, is ultimately a big part of what we are doing day to day is asking questions, being inquisitive. A big thing that I encourage anyone who's going through our interview process is you always want to be prepared with 2, 3, 4 extra questions. Even if you feel like your question has been answered through the interview, come up with something else on the spot. It shows that you're curious. It shows that you're listening. You're putting the pieces together. Being inquisitive is absolutely huge, because translating that over into the job, whether you're trying to get information from a client and you're asking really in-depth questions, or you're trying to build a relationship directly with a candidate, you have to be able to really ask in-depth questions and figure out, where is it that I can put these skill sets and actually be the middleman, be the matchmaker to figure out where this person would be a really good fit. So first and foremost, definitely would be to follow up with me, whether that be via email or applying directly online. And then we would set up a conversation from there and kind of break things down by different offices, different divisions, and figuring out which side of the business would be a good fit. Thank you so, so much to all of our panelists, to Lindsay, to Jess, to Connor. I appreciate your time. And I know we learned a lot of valuable information about Beacon Hill and your positions today. I definitely would say for anyone interested, connect with us, keep us posted on your job search process. I look forward to connecting further and continuing this conversation about Beacon Hill for anyone who might be interested. And I hope everyone has a great evening. Thanks, everyone.